Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're looking at this interesting audio report. It's got two pretty distinct parts.
Yeah, quite the mix.
First up, there's this bit about a meeting between President Obama and President Putin. It was at an economic summit in Peru, probably near the end of Obama's presidency.
Right, that time frame.
And then it completely shifts gears to talk about a streaming device. Tiger Stream, it's called.
From geopolitics to gadgets.
Exactly. So our mission here is really to pull out the key info from both segments. We want to understand the different angles on that Obama-Putin meeting and also dig into what this Tiger Stream thing is all about, what claims they're making.
Basically, unpack what's important, what's interesting for you in these sources. It's a real contrast, isn't it? You've got this brief, high-stakes international moment, and then this piece about consumer tech aiming to, well, shake things up. Different interpretations on the world stage, and then a product promising to change how you watch stuff.
Okay, so let's start with that meeting in Peru. The report, it really leaned into the visuals, didn't it? Things like the coldest handshake ever, stone-cold glares.
Yeah, the optics. Media often grabs onto that stuff.
It seems like that really dominated the coverage, or at least the way this report framed it.
Well, these visual cues, they become like shorthand in diplomacy, don't they? They can build a whole narrative about, the relationship between leaders, the state of things. And this report definitely highlights that perception.
And all this drama over an encounter that lasted, what, about 4 minutes?
Apparently, yeah, very brief.
So what actually happened in those 4 minutes, according to the report? What was discussed?
Okay, so this is where you start seeing the different stories emerge. You've got the U.S. account, which they shared with the Washington Post.
Right.
That version says Obama really pushed Putin on Russia sticking to its commitments under the Minsk agreements. That's about Ukraine's sovereignty, for anyone maybe not familiar.
Okay, Ukraine. What else?
Obama also apparently stressed, the need for the U.S. and Russia, and everyone else really, to keep working together to reduce the violence in Syria, help the people suffering there.
So Ukraine and Syria, that was the U.S. take. Now the Russian version, this came from Putin's press secretary, Dmitry Peskov, reported via Interfax. It sounds like it had a slightly different flavor.
That's right. Peskov's account, according to the report, was that, both presidents said they regretted the lack of progress on Ukraine.
Okay, so agreement there, sort of.
Kind of. But Peskov suggested their talks would keep focusing on the Syrian civil war. So, you see, both sides mentioned the big issues, Ukraine and Syria, but maybe the emphasis, the feeling of the conversation, it's spun a bit differently. It's pretty interesting how quickly the narratives can diverge, even from just a 4-minute chat at that level.
It really shows how these things get interpreted, doesn't it? Even a short conversation gets filtered through different perspectives for the public. Now, the report we're looking at, it definitely has some strong opinions. It doesn't really hold back on Obama's foreign policy.
No, it doesn't. The commentary is, let's say, quite critical. It basically argues Obama's policies made America look foolish and even suggests they were somehow responsible for the rise of ISIS.
Wow.
Yeah. And then it frames it as Russia having to step in and deal with ISIS because of that. Now, that's obviously a very specific viewpoint. It's important for you to remember there were many, many different takes back then on foreign policy effectiveness in the Middle East.
Right. Just presenting what the source says here. And he uses some really loaded language. It also seemed pretty keen on Obama leaving office.
Oh, definitely. There's this clear sense of anticipation for the next administration, hoping for better U.S.-Russia relations. It specifically mentions Trump and Putin, saying they intended to work together against ISIS.
So what should we make of that anticipation?
Well, it reflects a particular hope, a specific political perspective that existed then, wanting a change in U.S. foreign policy direction, maybe a less confrontational approach with Russia. The report clearly frames that potential cooperation against ISIS as a good thing, compared to what it calls, unproductive headbutting under Obama.
And then there's that phrase, calling ISIS the dirty offspring of Hillary Clinton and Barack Obama and John McCain. That's pretty intense.
It is very strong language, and it really signals a strong ideological position in that commentary. It's crucial for you, listening, to see that as a specific subjective opinion from this particular report, not some kind of neutral historical fact about ISIS's origins.
Okay, definitely noted. So we have this short, tense meeting, different official stories, and then this commentary layered on top with a really sharp critique of the Obama administration and high hopes for a U.S.-Russia reset. Got it. Now, let's pivot hard.
Right, to the Tiger Stream.
Yeah, the report suddenly shifts, calls it a positive thing, something to save people money by cutting cable.
It's a jarring shift, isn't it, from, presidents and global conflicts to saving on your TV bill. But the core promise they make is pretty big. Get rid of cable forever. That hits a nerve for a lot of people, right? Cable bills can be seriously expensive.
Totally. So the claim is, buy this box, ditch your subscription. It calls it a handy device, the best media streaming Android device.
Yeah.
Those are bold statements. What do you think is underpinning that? Like, how would it even work?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? And they get even more specific. The report claims you can watch every game imaginable.
Every game.
That's what it says. And also, never pay for another PPV event again, pay-per-view.
Okay, for sports fans or movie buffs, that sounds amazing. But hang on. How can one device legally give you all that for free? That raises some big questions about, where the content is coming from, rights, all that stuff.
Exactly. Those are the critical questions you'd need to ask. The report doesn't really get into the how, just the what you supposedly get.
It also stresses how easy it is. So it stands out from the moment you open the box and frames it as saving you money, paying for itself in a few months compared to cable.
That's a classic sales pitch, right? The financial angle. Compare the one-time cost to the ongoing pain of monthly bills. Makes it seem like an investment, not just a purchase, a quick return.
Yeah, makes sense. And then it sort of zooms out again, talking about traditional media being dominated by just a few big companies.
Right, and positions this device as a way to fight back almost, a game changer. It even says it gives consumers the power to impact the global narrative.
Whoa! Impacting the global narrative with a streaming box. That seems like a stretch. What's that about?
Well, that kind of language tries to tap into maybe a frustration people feel about big media, lack of control, that sort of thing. It positions the product not just as a gadget, but as a tool for empowerment, a way to stick it to the big guys, Gives you control over your entertainment and information. It's marketing, trying to connect on an emotional or ideological level.
Okay. And then it wraps up that segment asking people to share the report, subscribe for more videos, standard call to action.
So you've got these two completely different sections back to back.
You really do. High-level politics, Putin and Obama, viewed through this really critical lens, followed by this super enthusiastic pitch for a gadget that promises the moon in terms of free content and saving money.
So summing up, we've looked at these contrasting stories about that brief Obama-Putin chat. Key takeaway. Official accounts differed, even for a 4-minute meeting.
Right, and the report itself had a very strong, opinionated take on the whole foreign policy situation, then hoping for a big change.
Then we jumped to Tiger Stream. Big, bold claims about getting rid of cable bills, watching everything for free. Very appealing, but raises questions about feasibility and legality.
Definitely.
Which kind of leads to a final thought for you to chew on. What does it actually mean when these two things, this tense geopolitical moment and this consumer tech pitch, are jammed together in the same report?
Yeah, what's the connection, if any?
Think about the different messages, the different perspectives in each part. What might that suggest about how information, political news, commercial promotion gets packaged and presented to you? It's maybe worth considering how we process these different kinds of narratives, the political and the commercial, and the assumptions that might be shaping how we understand things.